Hi, this is Mitch Randall at Good Faith Media. We're in San Diego, California this week, attending the American Academy of Religion conference. And we're here with Lloyd Barba today. And Lloyd just finished a panel discussion talking about the results of the 2024 presidential election. Thank you so much for joining us, Lloyd.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks, Mitch. Always an honor to speak with folks at Good Faith Media.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned in your comments during the panel discussion was the shift from 2016 to 2024 regarding the rhetoric around immigration. And I thought it was really fascinating because you said a lot of the rhetoric in 2016 centered on building a wall, but now it's about deportation. Can you talk more about that?
Oh, certainly. So in 2016, it was clear that Trump, the main idea he was advancing was the wall, right? We're going to build a wall, the big, beautiful wall. Mexico's going to pay for it. That rhetoric has largely been absent. Now he's turned much more to the rhetoric of mass deportation. At one point, just in recent weeks, he noted that he wants to initiate the largest mass deportation in American history. And I'll remind folks, we've had some major mass deportations in American history. In the 1930s, the Mexican repatriation, Operation Wetback in 1954 to 56. So it's no small feat to try to accomplish that. Now, one of the reasons he's claiming that mass deportation is now needed is it's a way of sort of blaming the Biden administration for this thing that actually doesn't exist, quote unquote, open borders, right? And so you also notice Trump coming out heavily against asylum. And one thing that we should be really vigilant of is the attempt to, I'm just going to use the word here for the Christian audience, to desecrate and to desacralize terms like asylum, terms like sanctuary, which are really deeply biblical concepts. And what we see with Trump is in attacking asylums, or attacking asylum seekers, he's hoping to deter migrants. And in attacking sanctuary cities, he's hoping to deport them. And it's a very clear strategy. I am concerned this time around that he has much more competent people in place to enact this kind of mass deportation. And he's using language that he didn't use last time, using federal troops to do this. He's attacked sanctuary cities consistently for the past several months. And so I'm genuinely concerned the extent to which that will become a reality much more than this wall that was never finished.
Another topic that you mentioned was just the concept of sanctuary at large, and how in 2016 that there were a lot of congregations across the country that engaged in claiming sanctuary for refugees who were living within the walls of their churches. You suggested tonight that that could be in danger with the use of federal troops, marshals, border patrol, to potentially infiltrate churches to begin this mass deportation. Do you really think that's the case, and why so?
So I think there's a few things that are different this time around. Number one is if Trump is to use the federal troops, that would require an emergency, a national emergency. Now, since the 1980s, when an undocumented person has taken sanctuary in a church, and again, in a declared sanctuary proper, they have not been dragged out of those churches. The invocation of using federal troops sounds a bit more like sanctuary during the Vietnam War, or sanctuary for Vietnam War resistors, in which it was federal marshals who dragged sanctuary seekers out of churches. Again, I think it's a bit different, right? In the Vietnam War, you're facing the Department of Defense. You're resisting the draft. It's not a one-to-one sort of match. But this time around, I think there is serious concern that I'm not projecting, but I actually just heard recently from some leaders of faith who provided sanctuary that they're concerned that sanctuary might not hold. Now, there's also kind of this question of sort of the pragmatic of it, right? If there are, let's say, 50 people, up to 70 people in sanctuary, as there were in the first Trump term, is it worth going after those 70 people, right? At the risk of just more than just bad PR, putting a bad name between sort of church and state. I think it's too high of a risk, but I don't want to speak in place of the faith leaders who have already voiced those concerns.
Well, Dr. Barba, thank you so much for joining us at Good Faith Media. If you haven't listened to Dr. Barba's podcast titled Sanctuary, make sure to do so. It is amazing as it details the history of the sanctuary movement and what's going on today. Lloyd, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great. Thank you, Mitch.
Mitch Randall at San Diego, California at the American Academy of Religion Conference. With Good Faith Media, there's always more to tell.